Governor Mike Huckabee is the latest presidential candidate to come out swinging against President Obama's plan to allow thousands of Syrian refugees into the United States. The former Arkansas governor urging the president to reconsider his position. He's also calling on House Speaker Paul Ryan to either block this move altogether or step down. Joining us now, Republican presidential candidate, Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, John.
You said yesterday that President Obama's wimpish and amateurish response to Islamic jihadists reveals we have a Cub Scout for commander-in-chief. Tough words for a presidential candidate.
Well, definitely tough words, and I got an extraordinary level of blowback from it, a lot of reaction, people very negative about it, because they thought it insulted the Cub Scouts. John, the reason I said that is because here we have a left-wing socialist president of France closing his borders and saying we're going to go to war against these animals. And we've got a president who is all upset at America because we think maybe that putting America's interest first is the right thing to do, and we ought to be joining the French and the Russians in aggressively going after them. Yesterday, President Obama is saying, you know, America doesn't want to get caught up in this winning stuff. Well, I want to get caught up in winning. I want to win over this malignant cancer that is a threat to Western civilization.
The president said his strategy is going to take time. How do you assess the results?
He doesn't have a strategy. That's the problem. He never has. 9 hours before the slaughter in Paris, he was talking about how he had contained ISIS. Clearly, he hadn't contained anything. Last week when this first happened, you know, I think the first one to come out and say we need a moratorium on the idea of Syrian refugees. I was delighted to see, by the way, Speaker Ryan step up this morning and say that he thinks we ought to put a pause on it. So good for him, and I'm delighted to see that. Yesterday I was saying somebody's got to lead, and if it's not the president, clearly he's not, then let the Republicans take leadership, and that would fall upon Speaker Ryan, who has the purse strings with the House, and it appears he's going to, and I'm happy to see that.
Well, that is perhaps an answer to your demand that he stop the funding for assimilation of more Syrian refugees or step down. That was also, it raised a lot of eyebrows on really both sides of the aisle.
Well, it did. Look, I don't pretend that the reason that Paul Ryan had his press conference today was solely because of what I said. I think that I would like to believe that it's because he recognized that somebody has to step into the vacuum of leadership because the president's unwilling to or unable to. And maybe he was listening to the constituents because overwhelmingly Americans realize that the #1 goal of our government is not to protect the image of Islam, it's to protect American citizens. And so it appears to me that President Obama has been so focused on not wanting to offend anybody who's a Muslim. Look, I don't want to offend Muslims who aren't responsible for this, but we have a situation where jihadists who are strapping bombs to their bellies and blowing innocent people up, they just happen to all be Muslims. So let's not pretend that this is not about the religion of these fanatics. It doesn't mean all Muslims are jihadists, but all the jihadists certainly seem to be Muslim.
You might have heard the segment just now with Michael Warren from the Weekly Standard saying there aren't a lot of prescriptions on the Republican side either for how you win the war against ISIS. What is Mike Huckabee's?
Well, first of all, let's join with the Europeans who are ready to call this a war. Let's join with the Russians who are sending airstrikes. They've just had an airliner shot down. Right now, there's a great opportunity to pull together, and let's engage the Saudis, let's engage the Kuwaitis, and let's say, guys, it's put up or shut up time. It's not just ISIS. Let's go after these jihadis who are interested in destroying Western civilization. This is a battle not just between the Americans and ISIS. This is a battle between Western civilization and complete barbarism and savagery. So we either look at this not as a benign cancer that you can contain and live with. This is a malignant cancer that you have to eradicate and then radiate the area around it so it doesn't come back. That's what we have to do, and that involves military. It involves not only airstrikes, it involves boots on the ground and an all-out effort to crush it in its tracks and eliminate, John, social media ability. Take Twitter, take Facebook away. Don't allow these organizations to have any access to it. They shouldn't have access to social media.
Governor Mike Huckabee, Republican presidential candidate. Thank you.